M.
After more than 6 months of no contact, I received a call from my daughter, Emily, and it was past 8 p.m. Emily, who had a family of her own, rarely called at such an hour unless it was during the day. I had a gut feeling that something serious must have happened. "Emily, what's wrong? Why are you calling at this hour? What happened?" At first, Emily didn't answer. From the other end of the phone, all I could hear was a sound like air leaking, a sigh.
Mom.
Finally, in a thin, strained voice, Emily spoke. "Emily, what's wrong? Are you really okay?"
Mom, help me.
Sensing an emergency, I pressed the speaker phone button. Immediately, my husband, Mike, rushed to my side, straining to listen. "Emily, stay calm. What happened?"
It hurts. I haven't eaten anything. I might not make it.
"Haven't eaten anything? What do you mean?"
Nothing. They won't let me eat. My mother-in-law and them. Nothing.
I envisioned Emily crawling on the floor, desperately reaching out to me for help.
"Emily's in danger if we leave things as they are."
Mike yelled as he grabbed the car keys and headed for the door. "I'm on my way to pick you up right now." I yelled into the phone, then hurried after my husband. "My name is Sherry Brown, and I'm 70 years old. I currently run a restaurant with my husband. Mike, who trained at a famous restaurant when he was young, is well regarded for his culinary skills. Mike and I met through a family introduction and decided to open our own place when we got married. Not only is Mike skilled in the kitchen, but his engaging conversational style and unpretentious personality have won over many regular customers. I've been helping at the restaurant for nearly 30 years, but lately, I've started to feel a decline in my physical abilities. Maybe it's my age, but even a little movement now causes pain in my back. Mike has suggested hiring a part-timer, but while I'm grateful for his consideration, I worry about labor costs and have decided to keep working as long as possible. Sometimes, Mike, half-jokingly, laments, "If only she was here to help at times like this." She refers to our only daughter, Emily. Since she's already independent and has a family, we can't just ask her to return and help at the restaurant. Currently, Emily lives about an hour's drive away in a neighboring town, in her in-laws' home, with her husband, John, their son, Kevin, and John's mother, Sarah. But recently, John's sister, Amy, joined them. I don't know the details, but I've heard Amy divorced and moved back to her parents' house. I had hoped that after Emily graduated from college, she would help out at our restaurant, but she left, saying she wanted to see more of the world. She then landed a job at a major department store in the women's clothing department. Fresh out of college, Emily quickly won over customers with her charm and innate cheerfulness. She met her future husband, John Smith, at the same department store. John was a star in the direct sales department, dealing primarily with wealthy clients looking to buy luxury items, a position of envy within the company. When Emily first introduced John to me, I couldn't help feeling a bit worried. "Are you sure it's okay to marry such a perfect man?" Indeed, with his handsome features and smooth talk that appealed to women's psyches, John had won over many clients, some of whom came to the store to see him. Still, Emily reassured me with a confident face. "It's fine, Mom. Don't worry. I trust him completely." Later, Emily married John, quit her job at the department store, and chose to support her husband as a dedicated housewife. Their son Kevin was born the following year, and I was relieved and delighted to have a grandson. It seems like those two are doing well after all. The couple lived in an apartment as a family of 3 for a while, but moved to John's parents' house 5 years ago after his father passed away, thinking it would be lonely for John's elderly mother, Sarah, to be alone. Emily occasionally called home but started complaining that John was often not at home.
John stayed at a junior's apartment again last night because work got late. It's been happening a lot lately. And on weekends, he's out playing golf for work.
Still, Emily laughed it off over the phone, saying it was probably just part of being a working adult. One day, after a long while, I decided to call Emily. "Kevin, your birthday's coming up soon, right? Got any plans for the daytime?"
So far, nothing really. Why do you ask?
"Perfect. Our restaurant's closed that day, so how about you, me, and your dad go out somewhere fun? Could be an amusement park, an aquarium, anywhere that make you happy."
That sounds nice. John's been swamped with work lately and hardly ever home, so Kevin's been pretty bored without anyone to take him out.
Emily seemed excited over the phone, but as Kevin's birthday drew near, Emily called me one day.
Sorry, Mom. It's hard to say, but some plans have come up since then. We can't make it to go out with you. I'm really sorry.
"Plans came up? What happened?"
We can't make it that day because they're throwing a birthday party for him at the community kids club.
"The kids club, huh? I guess we can't just cancel on them." I was slightly disappointed but shifted gears quickly. "Then it doesn't have to be for Kevin's birthday. We're flexible, so let us know whenever works for you guys."
Sorry, Mom. We'll only be able to go out for a while. Next week there's a nature workshop with the kids club, and the week after that, swimming lessons start. We've got a lot going on.
Kids these days really are busy, huh? Shame, but it looks like we'll have to give up on the idea. I was so looking forward to seeing my grandson after so long. My disappointment was huge. I asked a regular customer with kids what the latest gaming console kids are into and sent that to Kevin as a gift.
Mom, the gift arrived. Thank you.
Emily called to thank me. Yet, there was something off about my daughter's voice, familiar as it should be to me. Perhaps it's a mother's intuition, but Emily, usually so bright and energetic, sounded downcast that day. "What's wrong? You sound tired today."
Not at all. I'm as cheerful as ever.
"Well, if you say so."
Anyway, thank you for the gaming console.
About that, I need to get in touch with what kids these days like, so I just went with something recommended by someone else. I hope Kevin really liked it.
Of course, he did. He was pleased and said, "Grandma really knows the best."
For some reason, Emily seemed in a hurry to hang up the phone. It was as if she was trying not to drag out our conversation. "You guys are getting along well, right?"
What's with that all of a sudden? We're doing fine. So don't worry about us, Mom.
You've complained before about John coming home late. Has anything changed since then?
You worry too much. I told you not to fret over it. Forget about that. Besides, phone calls aren't free, so I should hang up soon. You must be busy with the restaurant, too.
Just wait a minute. It's not about me right now, it's about you. I was cut off before finishing as Emily hung up first. Just asking about how she's been? Why does Emily seem so keen on keeping me at a distance? It's as if she doesn't want me prying into her family matters, dodging my questions, and cutting the conversation short. I have a bad feeling about this. I felt a sense of unease. After closing the restaurant, Mike and I usually relax with a drink in our quiet living room, a daily ritual. That night, we were comforting each other about the day's fatigue as usual. About Emily, something seems off. She sounds tired, or maybe not her usual spirited self. I can't quite put my finger on it.
You've been calling her from time to time, haven't you?
Just talked to her this afternoon, but she ended the call abruptly.
Is she trying to keep distance from you? It's more like she doesn't want to worry me. It's just a mother's hunch and might not be reliable, but I feel like Emily's hiding something from me.
Mike crossed his arms and was silent for a moment.
I wonder if it's related to that thing.
What thing? After hesitating, as if debating whether it was okay to say, Mike finally decided to speak up. I heard something concerning from one of our regulars about John. What happened to John?
This regular mentioned they saw John coming out of a bar with a woman who wasn't Emily.
No way. Not John, he wouldn't.
The person he was with wasn't young but apparently quite beautiful. What stood out was her flashy clothing, laden with what seemed like expensive brand name items.
It must be someone who just looks like him. I found myself defending John. No, it's more accurate to say that as a parent, I didn't want to admit the possibility of a rift developing between Emily and her husband.
Of course, the regular who saw them wasn't completely sure. They just thought the man looked somewhat like John.
I didn't want to take the regular's eyewitness account at face value. Yet, I've heard that John has been coming home late recently and going out more on weekends. Could it be that John sees another woman besides Emily, unbeknownst to us? Without concrete information, my mind wanders to the worst possible scenarios. I'm worried about Emily. She never complains or shows weakness. If she's aware of this and is suffering in silence.
Don't think too negatively. I'll see what I can do. For starters, we have a lawyer among our regulars. I'm thinking of consulting them.
Since then, I've been so concerned about Emily that I've even dropped and broken dishes while washing them.
What's wrong? You seem tired yourself.
I stopped my work several times to try calling Emily, but she has yet to answer. Occasionally, she'd call back, saying, "I'm fine," with a brief update that was surprisingly calm. Whenever I tried to discuss family matters more deeply, she laughed it off and quickly ended the call. Each time I heard Emily's voice over the phone, it seemed to lack energy, almost as if it would vanish at any moment. Remembering Emily's charming smile that everyone loved before she got married, I felt increasingly overwhelmed by anxiety to the point of tears. About half a year later, I suddenly received a call from Emily, who had been entirely out of touch. It was after 8 p.m. It was rare for Emily, now with a family, to call at such an hour. I had an intuition that something serious must have happened. "Emily, what's wrong? Why are you calling at this hour? What happened?" Emily didn't answer. All I could hear from the other end was a sound like air escaping, a sigh. Yet, I was confident that it was Emily holding the receiver. "Are you alone there? Just you?" Since I couldn't hear any background noise, I assumed so.
Mom.
Finally, in a thin, strained voice, Emily spoke. "Emily, what's wrong? Are you really okay?"
Mom, help me.
Sensing an emergency, I pressed the speaker phone button. Mike quickly came to my side, straining to listen. "Emily, stay calm. Tell Mom what happened."
It hurts. I haven't eaten anything. I might not make it.
"Haven't eaten anything? What do you mean?"
Nothing. They won't let me eat. My mother-in-law and them. Nothing.
I envisioned Emily crawling on the floor, desperately reaching out for my help.
Emily's in danger if we leave things as they are.
Mike yelled as he grabbed the car keys and headed for the door. "I'm coming to get you right now." I yelled into the phone, then hurried after my husband. During the drive, we were both silent. Mike held the steering wheel tightly, his brows furrowed, and veins visible on his forehead. The unspoken anxiety and anger at the thought that our only daughter might be suffering unjustly filled the car. Looking in the mirror, I'm sure I wore the same expression as Mike. Holding back tears, I closed my eyes, and images of Emily's innocent, youthful smile floated into my mind. Seeing an innocent girl, unaware of the world's evils, stretching out her tiny hands to Mike and me to share her happiness, filled my frustrated heart. Emily was asking for help. Thinking this made us feel incredibly ashamed for not having noticed her suffering before. Even without seeing her directly, Emily's weakened state was clear from the sound of her voice on the phone. I couldn't believe that Emily, who always had a vibrant smile, was asking for help in such a voice. Looking out the passenger window at the dark cityscape, I thought, this must be a dream, a bad dream. Passing through a quiet residential area, the light spilling from each home seemed to carry the laughter of families, a stark contrast to what should have been Emily's and our reality, bringing a new wave of sadness. The travel time, which would have taken an hour during the day, was much shorter since rush hour had passed. The roads were relatively straightforward, quickly bringing us to the Smith residence.
Are you okay? If needed, I can go alone.
Mike offered his support with kind words, but this was a matter for our family. I resolved, ready to face any reality that awaited us, we will definitely save Emily with our own hands. After ringing the doorbell, a carefree voice came from inside after a moment.
"Hello, who is it at this hour?"
In stark contrast to Emily's urgent call for help, John's relaxed and peaceful tone left us perplexed. "It's Brown, Emily's mother." Upon identifying myself, John fell silent as if on guard, then slowly said, Is there something wrong?" Opening the door slightly, he peered out at us.
Sorry for bothering you late at night, John. We have something important to discuss.
Mike wedged his foot in the slightly open door and forcefully opened it more comprehensively. What are you doing, Mike? We're coming in. With a determined stance, we made our way inside the house. Standing in front of a small, unlit room at the end of the hallway, Emily is in here, isn't she? Why we thought Emily was in this room, I can't fully explain later, but we were confident, without a doubt, that our daughter was here, calling out to us for help.
It's extremely rude of you. Even if you are Emily's parents, I will call the police.
Then do it. It might be good to have the police here.
Mike fearlessly slid the room's door open with force. Emily was crouched on the floor, looking like a worn-out, discarded rag. It took our brains a few seconds to recognize that this was our daughter, so drastically changed and emaciated was the sight before us. Emily? Oh, what has happened here? We rushed to Emily, our voices barely audible, and lifted her frail body.
Emo. Mom, help me. I'm in pain. I can't anymore.
With labored, intermittent breathing, Emily managed to respond. It was immediately apparent that she was severely dehydrated and barely coherent.
What are you people doing here? Get out right now.
John tried to usher us out as if we were intruders, his voice lacking any conviction. His gaze wandered as if frightened, his body trembling. John, bring some water, now.
That's impossible.
Don't argue, just bring it now. Intimidated by my loud yelling, John ran to the kitchen and quickly came back with a bottle of water from the fridge. I snatched it from him and opened the bottle cap. Here, Emily. Water, drink. Hearing the commotion, Sarah and Amy also appeared.
What's all this noise about?
It's so loud I can't hear the TV.
The explanation is what we want from you.
With an upward twitch of his eye corner, Mike confronted John, who then suddenly prostrated himself.
I'm terribly sorry.
John explains why Emily ended up in such a state, revealing a reality beyond our worst imaginations. Since Emily and her husband started living with her mother-in-law, Sarah, at her in-law's house, things seemed to be going well initially. However, there came a time when John started coming home late, and coincidentally, Sarah's attitude towards Emily suddenly turned cold. One day, feeling anxious about John's late return, Emily approached Sarah for advice, only to have Sarah blame Emily for John's absence. Emily couldn't understand why she was being blamed, but Sarah told her it was because she hadn't regained her pre-pregnancy figure. From then on, Sarah started piling all household chores on Emily and even imposed dietary restrictions on her. Despite this, Emily tried to stay upbeat, brushing off the unreasonable demands, but it seemed Sarah didn't find this amusing. The harassment escalated, and Sarah took control of all of Emily's finances under the guise of preventing impulse purchases. Amy, who had returned home after a divorce, joined in, finding the situation interesting, and Sarah began leaving Amy in charge of monitoring Emily whenever she was away. The hardest part for Emily was being denied the chance to care for her son, Kevin. Despite living under the same roof, there's nothing more painful and sad than not being able to raise your own child, born out of your own flesh. Sarah even forbade Emily from seeing Kevin, and Amy, who acted as the watchguard, immediately stopped any attempt to approach his room. While Emily was punished by being forced to clean the bathroom and toilet, Sarah enjoyed her moments with Kevin as much as she pleased.
That's all I know.
John said, collapsing weakly to his knees.
Don't you dare speak so lightly of our family's disgrace.
Exactly. I can't believe you'd blab such nonsense to complete strangers. Brother, you've really lost your nerve.
There's more to it, isn't there? You're hiding something else. John looked up with a start, anxiety clear on his face. A taxi stopped at the entrance, and someone got out.
They're here.
The Smith family was confused and unable to grasp the situation. Soon, a tall, slender gentleman in his 50s appeared, causing John's face to pale instantly. Looks like you recognize this gentleman. John remained silent, understanding he couldn't escape the situation. He just waited for time to pass, avoiding eye contact.
Good evening. My name is James Williams, and I am an actor. This is my first time meeting the Smith family in person.
Williams said, looking each member of the Smith family in the face. Once a famous actor known to everyone for his roles in movies and dramas, Williams's popularity had waned with age, leaving only his name known in public.
Why would James Williams come to our house?
Sarah asked on behalf of the Smith family, her smile strained and her voice pitched. Her nervousness was evident to anyone. I invited Williams here. Before coming, I contacted a lawyer friend and asked Williams to join us. What could possibly be the relationship between us and Williams? Sarah attempted to feign ignorance, but I smirked. Don't pretend you don't know. You all must have an idea why Williams is here. The lawyer arrived shortly after.
Sorry for the delay. It took a while to sort out some paperwork related to another matter.
With the lawyer's arrival, everyone in the Smith family fell silent.
Per Sherry's request, I've been investigating John's activities for 6 months. It turns out John has frequently met with a certain woman. The woman in question is a wealthy client at the department store where John works. Upon further investigation, a shocking truth came to light.
That woman happens to be my wife, Isabella Johnson.
Williams added calmly to the lawyer's explanation.
I was honestly shocked when she suggested divorce, but deep down, I felt it was inevitable. She had been sneaking out on her own for a while. After hearing everything from the lawyer, everything made sense. We wanted to hear directly from John, hence our visit.
Standing slowly, John began to speak in a thin voice as if he were a shell of himself.
Isabella and I met, as you heard, through the department store, where I was visiting her home for work. Before we knew it, our relationship had developed. I initially thought it was just a fling, but then we found out Isabella was pregnant. It was too late for us to turn back by then, and we talked about leaving our partners to remarry. I'm truly sorry.
As Williams stood imposingly, John prostrated himself with force.
When I was a star actor, adored by everyone, Isabella used to shower me with the brightest smiles. But now that work has dwindled, well, then you, a charming man, came along and she couldn't resist. She must have what she likes, no matter what.
Williams said this with a weary smile. John, who had desired a divorce from Emily, found himself in a difficult position because his affair would leave him liable for alimony, making it hard to initiate the divorce. So, John turned to his mother, Sarah, for help. Initially, Sarah expressed reservations about her son and daughter-in-law's divorce, citing it would look bad publicly. However, once she learned that the other woman was wealthy, her attitude changed drastically, and she began actively cooperating. Believing that no alimony would need to be paid if it was her daughter-in-law, Emily, who wanted the divorce, Sarah repeatedly harassed Emily. Sarah schemed to make Emily want to leave the house independently.
I believed in him.
Despite her unsteadiness, Emily stood up firmly on her two legs, and the frustration of being deceived by her in-law family overwhelmed her, leading her to cry out loudly.
I thought if I lost weight, John would surely return to me. That's why I could endure any unreasonable demand from Sarah and Amy. All of it was just a scheme to drive me out.
It's okay now. You did nothing wrong. You don't have to endure anymore. I hugged my daughter tightly.
I indeed wanted a divorce from Emily, but I never expected Mom and Amy to go this far against her. Even I'm appalled.
Hold on a minute. I was only trying to help you by getting Emily out of this house. It's your fault for having an affair in the first place.
That's right, brother. You've been turning a blind eye to what we've been doing. Don't act like you know nothing about it now.
As the three bickered, I was speechless, but Emily shivered beside me.
Enough. If you want me gone that badly, I'll leave as you wish.
Oh, is that so? That would be helpful, but
You're wrong to be happy, mother-in-law. I will never forgive you. Once we divorce, I will claim a significant amount in alimony, so be prepared.
With that, Emily called out loudly enough to echo throughout the house, "Kevin, where are you? Come here. We'll live with Grandma and Grandpa from now on."
Oh, hey, I'm coming.
Kevin energetically ran down the stairs from his room and hugged Emily. Following the affair's exposure, John was fired from his company for severely damaging the corporate image. True to her word, Emily filed for divorce and demanded substantial alimony from John. After losing his job and being forced to pay alimony, John had a falling out with Sarah and Amy and was ultimately forced to sell the house reluctantly. Emily's anger was far from subsided, and she next filed a lawsuit against Sarah and Amy for emotional and physical distress. Despite repeated harassment from Sarah and Amy, Emily meticulously documented the situation in a notebook every day, a record that proved advantageous in court. Emily's physical and mental health gradually recovered at her parents' home, and she returned to her cheerful self. Though the aftermath with the Smith family continued, with the help of a skilled lawyer, everything was eventually settled. Rumor has it that Isabella successfully had a child with John before their life took this turn. After losing his job and being forced to depend on the wealth of his affair partner, John's will to work dwindled, and his appearance became increasingly unkempt. Moreover, the presence of elderly Sarah and nagging Amy proved too much for the well-bred Isabella, who eventually took their child and left. What became of the Smith mother and son after Isabella left is beyond my knowledge, nor do I wish to know.
Well, it's time to return to work after slacking off for so long.
With that determination, Emily started helping in the store, taking my place due to my back pain. Her reputation from her department store days quickly made our shop a local sensation, attracting long lines of customers. Now that we have a new show star, I have no regrets about stepping back. I've stopped working at the store and now spend my free time keeping an eye on Kevin as much as possible. Kevin is about to enter middle school, but at his elementary school graduation, he declares loudly, "I want to be a cool chef like Grandpa," making Mike and me cry. We can hardly wait to see what the future holds for Kevin.